going to discuss one item, but I think we'll discuss both of them. Anyway, it is Friday, October 21st, and I want to welcome everyone to Rules and Election. I almost said HED. My name is Herb Wesson, and I'm the chair of this committee. Mr. City Attorney, at this point in time, we do not have a quorum, so any action that we take will be deemed to communicate from the chair.
That's correct.
All right? Okay. Item number 1.
Very good. Item 1, communication from the city clerk relative to cost estimates to place city ballot measures on the 2012 state primary or 2012 general election.
Let's kill a little time here.
I just came back from Costa Rica. I could tell you all about my vacation.
Well, now I'm jealous. I'm envious. So, you want to talk a little bit about?
Certainly. If I may take a moment to tell you what a pleasure it is to have you as the chairman of Rules and Elections.
Thank you.
Who is the overseer over the city elections process, which your city clerk's office administers. I want to take a minute and introduce a couple members of my staff.
Please.
Ginny Pack is our acting chief of elections.
Hi.
And
But we won't use overseer anymore.
excuse me, sir. Administrator.
Go.
Administrator.
Hi.
So Ginny is elbow deep in the CD15 special election, which is coming up on November 8th for the primary. Also with us is Shannon Hoppes, who is our acting chief of Council and Public Services, and of course you're familiar with her with all that she provides for council.
Mm-hmm.
Our stalwart legislative assistant, Alan Alietti, whom you're familiar
Old
with.
friend.
And we, again, are very pleased to be of service to this committee.
Thank you.
What you-
Was it Jeannie? Jeannie? Jenny. Who's going to win? I have a room of comedians.
What you have before you in item 1 is a report that we submitted to the council on September 21st that put forward hard figures should the council decide to place a city ballot measure on the state election in 2012, which is an election that is not one that we administer. The county registrar recorder does, but they do allow us to place our measures on them if we pay for them. So this report states that if the city, by February 1st, which is the deadline, decides that they want to place a city measure on the June 5th, 2012 primary, the cost for one measure is approximately $4.4 million. The bulk of that is this
One
county's
item?
charge to us. Excuse me.
One item?
One item. Yes, sir. The bulk of that is the county's charge to us, which is 3.7, and then we have a smaller amount, about $700,000, for us to do what we need to do to make that ballot happen. After the first measure, the cost drops substantially. So for 2 measures, it becomes 4.9 mil. 3 measures, 5.4. So they rise in $500,000 increments. But if the city does decide to put one measure on the June 2012 primary election, that measure will cost no less and possibly more than 4.4. Similarly, if the city waits and does not put anything on the June primary, but rather the November 2012 election, again, the single measure would be 4.4, and then each measure thereafter is about $400,000 additional. I would like to say, however, that we wrote these, we compiled these figures back in September. Since the creation of this report, there's been new developments. The Voting Rights Act, Section 203, the Department of Justice is mandating jurisdictions to add new languages on their voting materials. For LA County and City, because of the census where folks self-identified as Asian Indian and Asian Other, the Department of Justice says, well then, Los Angeles, you must provide voting materials and translations in Asian Indian and Asian Other. There's a little difficulty in that we are talking about ethnicity, within those two languages, there are many dialects. And for Asian other, there's no specificity, but we are working hard with our election city attorney, with the county, with the DOJ. And so the reason I bring this up is the necessity for those two additional languages is going to necessarily increase the costs that I have quoted to you.
How do you even begin to try to satisfy that requirement with all of the different?
Well, as you know already, we have been operating for years under the federal mandate of 6 existing foreign languages: Chinese, Japanese, Vietnamese, Tagalog, Spanish, and others. With this new mandate, like I said, we are working closely with, it is new, so we're working closely with our election city attorney, with the DOJ, and with the county registrar recorder. We're going to exert our best good faith efforts to secure translators and transcribers, and we will work it out as we go along. And my executive officer, Holly Walcott, has come up to the table. And
Good to see you again, Holly.
Holly, if you want to say anything about the DOJ.
What the law, Holly Walcott, Office of the City Clerk, what the law specifically requires is for us to identify the single language in each of those categories that most impacts the citizens of Los Angeles.
Okay, that makes sense to me. Okay, Mr. City Attorney, I don't have any more questions for you. Again, it was a pleasure to meet your team. I'm watching you. Okay, it really was, and I look forward to working with you guys. And I think I'm gonna sneeze.
Well, bless you anyway.
The preemptive blessing.
Doing tight.
Usually when I sneeze twice, so there could be one more coming. All right, thank you. With that, Mr. City Attorney, on item 1, we'll note and file the city clerk's report and instruct the city clerk to report back on any other possible increases in the cost due to the federal language requirement.
Mr. Chair, if I may add one other piece of information, just for your information, SB 202 was recently enacted. This is a measure that restricts ballot measures to be placed only on the November election and not the primary. But we have checked with our election city attorney, and this does not apply to city measures, local measures, or measures initiated by the state legislature. It applies only to citizen petitions at the state level, so it would not impact the city's ability to place measures on the June ballot.
Good. All right. Charles,
Yes.
I'm not gonna just let you sit there and do nothing. We have a thing. But anyway, item 2.
Item 2 is motion Krikorian and Weezer relative to modifying the disclaimer text in the City of Los Angeles public comment cards.
All righty.
The reason this motion was written was there was a problematic incident where a speaker filled in his or her address on the comment card. All comment cards are public record, and it was scanned into our system as any comment card or any material for council items are. And when that address was discovered, it became problematic because the person did not want their address displayed. So,
What, can I see that?
sure.
Oh, you have. Okay, all I do is read the name, so this could be the first time that I've actually. So anyway, continue.
So you see it has a space for name, their business, their address, and their business phone. And it's purely for our informational purposes. It is not a requisite to speak before the council, of course. So after a consultation with our city attorney, we agree with the motion, and it's an easy fix to include text at the bottom of the card that basically says the card is subject to posting on our website, but you are not required to provide personal information in order to speak. So this gives the speaker the prerogative to add their address or not. And since we're going to update this card anyway, I should mention that it is no longer required to print the card in duplicate any longer because we do electronically scan them. So the next batch that we propose to print will not need to have the extra carbon copy. And on the back of the card, I understand that the ethics website address should be updated and corrected. So if we're going to fix it once, we might as well fix them all together. We're only have about 2,000 cards left in our possession. It's time for a printing, so 10,000 cards will cost us about $480. So it's a very incidental expense. If you have any questions, my acting chief of Council on Public Services can answer any questions you have.
All right. We're legal now, Mr. City Attorney. We have a quorum. We've been joined by my dear friend, Mr. Jose Huizar. I'll just ask a couple of quick questions. Was it just one incident that occurred?
Shannon Hoppus, Council on Public Services. Yes, as far as we know, it was only the one incident that we had heard any complaints about.
And so basically, we're going to update the information on the back so that we have the proper website for ethics, right? And then, in fact, Mr. Huizar, apparently we had a speaker before the council. They wrote in their name and address and I don't know, phone number or what have you. And we post these, and somebody called and harassed this individual or what have you. And then Mr. Krikorian introduced a motion suggesting that we come up with some kind of protections or a new card or what have you. And we're fortunate at this point in time, we've only got 2,000 of these left. So it's time to reorder anyway. So we're going to, like I said, update the back. And then in the front of the card, they will put language that says it is not necessary to give your, what is it?
Your personal information.
Personal information. So what does that mean? Address, phone number, or your real name, or what does that? Because I know we've had people come to council and that have had some colorful names and individuals that we know that's not their names. So what does that help me understand that?
The Brown Act allows anonymous attendance of meetings. Dean O'Connell, Deputy City Attorney. The Brown Act allows anonymous attendance of meetings. It's silent as to whether there must or there can be a requirement to give your real name to speak. The Brown Act also allows the legislative body to have procedures in place to run the meeting. So the speaker should put some sort of identifying information, maybe a moniker of some sort, so that the chair or the council president, when running public comment, could say who's next.
Okay.
But the motion, Mr. Krikorian's motion, is well taken, and it's prudent to have that voluntary admonition written on the card so that people know that they don't have to give personal information.
All right.
So
Did
if-
you have a question, Mr. Huizar?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we're putting this disclaimer that they don't have to give this information.
Correct.
Why not just not ask them for the information?
Sometimes it helps to have identifying information, especially if it is a large group and there's more than one speaker for the organization, to be able to categorize them. It's a informational identifying feature for us.
And what?
Well, Holly Walcott, Office of the City Clerk. The one example I can give where we actually need the information is on Prop 218 protests, because if they are protesting verbally as opposed to in writing, the only record we have on verifying whether they're a property owner and that they can make a legal protest and registering their protest is if they fill out the card.
Okay. So your recommendation is to keep it as it is, but to contain this. It's okay to have this disclaimer.
Correct.
All right. Alan, I believe
Yes,
there's
sir.
an amendment Would you read it into the record?
Very good, sir. Relative to item number 2, the committee has noted to adopt the motion as amended to also eliminate the duplicate filings of the cards to other agencies, i.e. City Ethics Department. They've also requested, or it's also been amended to no longer produce the duplicate copy of the card, so the card will essentially be single-sided with no carbon copy.
It will be double-sided.
Pardon me?
It will still be double-sided.
But nothing to fill out on
Right.
the back, just, yes. And it will also be amended to update or include the City Ethics Department corrected address.
All right, then. So without objection, we'll adopt that motion as amended. Now, did one of you guys steal the chair that's up there? Because we've got 3 mics and only 2 chairs. Okay, so the answer is yes. All right.
And Mr. Chair, on item number 1, did you need a
Yep, I'm going there right now. Mr. City Attorney, if Mr. Weezer has no objection, then let's, where it relates to item number 1, the committee has approved that.
Right.
Okay.
In essence, reconsider it and then adopt the recommendations as a report.
All right, Charles, is there any more business before this committee?
Those are the 2 items on the agenda, so you are done except for general public comment if there is any.
Is seeing and hearing none? This meeting is adjourned. So let it be done.